Hello again. I just wanted to share with you some additional items you can make with the Faceted Ornament Dies. So here we have a little box. This has 5 Rollo in it. Are they Rollo or Rollos? But there's a little box made with the ornament die. And I did do it with a loopy hanger so you could hang them up if you wanted to as little treats for an office party. And then we have a little party favor. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. Boy, that light really does reflect. Try that. Okay, so that's half of the large ornament. You could make these a little bit smaller by using the medium ornament. And here's one that is still open, and I cut the snowflake window into it. And I wanted to show you that it holds 3 Hershey's Kisses. And if you do put them in, you want the bottom of one to face the window, so it's all silvery, or whatever color you choose. And you just kind of lay them in there on their side. Alright, so we'll drop this guy in there. Oh, he went sideways. Not allowed. Slide him in there. There we go. And then the other one the opposite way. And then I would glue this shut. And they do just fit for a little party favor. Now what I did is I did cut off the end where the circle or the dot was, and I'm going to show you something that you can do that's really cool by leaving that on there. So I just trimmed both ends and then glued it shut. Okay, and I'm going to do one kind of from the beginning just to show you. So we're using the large faceted ornament die, and here it is. And let me get my cutting plate in. Alright, so what I want is I only actually want about half of this. Because there isn't a tab at both ends of the die, you can't use, you could use the second half and you could glue a tab onto it, which I've done. In fact, I did that with the snowflake one you just saw. If you're going to cut off the ends of it, you don't need to really worry about it. Like, you could space it over a little ways, just getting it even. But again, directional pattern, hole at the top if you are going to use the hole. Make sure you don't get it upside down, because that's disappointing when you do that. Okay, so I am going to slide this so that I have 1, 2, 3, 4 sections, and essentially the edge of the die here is right almost even with the edge of the paper, and that's fine because our cut line or our score line is just inside that, so it's going to cut here, but it's only going to score here, and I'll show you how that's going to come out. And I'm a little bit crooked in my pattern and I'm very neurotic, so let's just straighten that. And that means maybe I didn't cut it perfectly straight, but that's okay. Alright, and we'll make some noise. We'll slide this forward. Now, many of you may have seen me go forward and then backward on large dies like this. I don't return the die towards me because I'm afraid of it slipping and what I call stutter cutting. So I do have to reach around the back to get that. Alright, so we will pull that off. So here is our leftover paper. Again, I keep these squares because they're great for piecing. Alright, set that aside. I have an adopted cat here clawing at the door, which is kind of a pain. Alright, so we have half of it, and we have these wonky little pieces here, right? Oops, and this one was the one I had printed on, but I liked the paper, so I wasn't going to waste it. So what we want to do now is we want to cut it off, and you would cut it off at that red line, but it would actually leave a line in here on where to cut it. And you're just going to have to get used to the die and look for that little line. So it's right there where that would normally have folded. So let me just slice that off. By the way, it's 4 1/4 inches from the edge where the tab is here, if you measure over 4 1/4, that's going to give you half of the die basically with the tab. Okay, and I'm just quickly going to fold it like we would if we were doing the full ornament. So you have to watch that video. Fold this down. So I just get all of my folds started, and I'm going to go back and crease them better in just a jiffy. Alright, so now I know where they all are. Again, yours won't have a print on it. That's kind of wonky, but like I said, I'm too cheap to throw away the paper that I printed on, and nobody's going to see it from the inside. Only you and I will know it's there, which is like the whole world, right? Okay, so again, I can totally see mass producing these if I had like a ton of time to do so. Alright, down in here are those little diagonal folds, triangular folds. This one again is kind of wonky on the edge. Pardon me while I kick the cat out. Thank you. She will claw up our screen otherwise. Demanding little one. Alright. Folding. No, I'm sorry, I don't have editing software. I cannot speed this up for you, so I presume if you want to make these, you will have patience and follow through with everything here. Alright, and I can feel that one kind of went wonky, so you just pinch that. So my fingers on the back side, just keeping it even. And then I have to rotate it around to get this one. It doesn't hurt to get one and fold it and keep it in your arsenal so that you can recall how it looks or how it's supposed to look. Okay, so then I do fold my flaps back out of my way generally. Okay. So I actually started folding this one out of habit, so I'm going to have to cut a second one to show you the tall skinny box. But, alright, so at this point, I would cut these tabs off if I'm going to cut them off and not use the hole. Okay? I'm going to show you, before we cut the tabs off, what you can do. So we're going to lay this flat. And we put the glossy accents for glue there. And we're going to fold this in half. It should line up nicely. Just press and burnish that in place. It has those little folds there, but it'll still stay. Alright. So there we are. So you could still trim these off with the paper cutter. And I usually just cut this one like below the dot, and then estimate the same amount on the other side. So if I hadn't folded actually the triangles in, I would have only folded my long creases, not my side creases. Then you could fold this over. I'm right-handed, so let's do it that way. Fold that one. I tuck that one completely in, and then I put a little bit of glue on this tab around the outside edges, and then I press this like that to stick it down. So we'll just show you this. So if I did that and I only folded one end of it, I could have like a milk carton, and I could cut it off by one square and slit it so it was a shorter little milk carton, if you will. Okay. Or I don't do that at all, and I fold this one and this one over, and for the top I don't glue it. And again, remember, you wouldn't have done anything to the insides, just these four there. Okay, and then you would slide a ribbon around it. So the bottom would be glued, the top would be loose, and it only has 2 flaps, not your regular 4. So you could glue it. It does kind of buckle just a little bit. That's where I did the ribbon over the top. And I just do the ribbon wrap. And these aren't decorated like any more fancy because I just like to show you the basic and then let you guys go crazy on it. It's a little harder to get this back on once you take it off if you do it as tight as I did. It does hold 5 Rolo, which is awesome because now it's nice and tight and I can really press on it to get that ribbon back over. There we go. Get on there, you. Wow. So don't take it off unless you're going to eat the Rolo. Or put on a new ribbon. Okay, there we go. So what I did is I drew the ribbon up and I tied it and I twisted it around a couple of times while holding the end so it was nice and tight, and then I knotted it here, okay, and then I just drew them up and made another knot and trimmed off the ends. This gives me a tight wrap around, and it also gives me something to hang it by if I were going to do that. You could cut a window in here with other dies or 3 little snowflakes or ornaments or something. Okay, so that was the tall box that holds 5 Rolo and probably at least 5 Hershey's Kisses. Okay, and again, just the 4. Alright, but if we want to, we can turn this into a party favor. Okay, so here's our party favor. Now, I just thought these tabs were a little bit too long, so that's why I trimmed it off. However, I envisioned this. Now you have to remember I don't have like any little kids around or anything, but I could do a Christmas tree countdown, and I would leave the hole, or maybe trim off a little bit next to it. Let me show you. So I trimmed it and I left about 1/8 of an inch above the hole. Okay, now if I were to line these 2 up and hold them nice and tight and take a scissor, well, you could do this after it was glued, but I don't want to glue it. So you'd glue it, and then you can take a scissor and go like this at an angle. Okay, and that is so that you could hang these. And what you would do is you would have like a garland or a string going across, and then you would hang these on the string, and you could put a little number on them, and you could take one off every day as a Christmas countdown treat. Okay? So if you're going to just make a party favor, and of course you would have added your window in here at whatever point if you wanted to do window. So I'm just going to trim this off right at the bottom of the hanger and trim off the other end as well. So now I have that. So put some glue here, and we want to do the edges. The inside isn't as important as keeping the edges lined up so that you get nice square boxes and whatnot. Okay, so squeeze that down. Alright, it's being a little ornery because of the tab where we glued it. So just tuck it into cooperating with you. Okay, and once you have it glued, I kind of go like that. Just tilt it up on its end. Stick it down like that. Okay. Then of course you would put your little items in there, and then you would glue it shut on the top. You could even do a little circle with people's names on them. Put some Andy's mints, I think would fit in there, some after dinner mints. And by the way, if you're irritated at Rolo because their Christmas pack only has red, green, and gold in it, here's how you can fix that. I needed silver for my snowflakes. So, aluminum foil plus Rolo. Just a little bit of a square around it. It doesn't have to be perfect. I don't think anybody's going to test your wrapper and see if it was square. You might put these in the fridge, make sure they're nice and firm before you go manhandling them and wrapping them. Alright, just conform the foil around it, and haha, now I have silver Rolo. And of course you could do this with any of your candy foils, like I have some pink, so I could wrap them in pink. You can get the candy foils at Michael's or whatnot. But you can see here, the snowflake needed to have silver. Oh, and by the way, this does have window plastic behind it instead of vellum, since it's not going to be lit. So just some transparency plastic, keep your plastic packaging, and just chop it into a little square, stick it in there. Make do with what you have. Don't run out necessarily to buy something or look all over town for it when it's not available. So, there you have it. We have a favor with the window, we have a little box, and we have the favor without a window. This is going to be upside down, but we're going to play pretend. Don't forget, you also have, that wasn't folded, the milk jug, milk box. Alright, those are just some quick ideas I had today on what you can do with the ornament die and not actually make an ornament. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day.